Stuart Alpert was the original chair of this event. He was unable to continue. He had issues at work and could not keep it up. So I volunteered to chair it next. I chaired it for about 45 minutes or so, and then I had family issues, and I had to step down. And so Ira and I went to Dan, who was really fresh back from a 3-year brief break in London, and asked if he would consider taking it on. And basically, yeah, of course he would. Because Dan doesn't say no to MPC things, he just doesn't. And you can say what you want about the club, but I can tell you certainly that there wouldn't be a luncheon today without Dan. And by the way, I wrote to Samantha. A lot of people don't know this, Samantha, but if you'd been born a boy, your middle name would have been Progress. Anyhow, it's my pleasure to introduce one of my best friends, and really to me, and I said this to my mom this morning, and she agreed completely. He is the embodiment of a word that you just don't hear enough anymore. He is a mensch. Former president for life of the Men's Progress Club, Dan Paul-Heskins.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. Of course, every organization, no matter how great, no matter how strong, has some off times. And unfortunately, even the Men's Progress Club suffered some off times during the late 90s. The early leadership were retiring or moving off to other things. The new leaders didn't have the history or the experience to maintain a high level of the MPC's earliest days. And the men of this generation were busy with so many things that they didn't always see the value of membership or regular participation in Men's Progress Club programs. The club still ran events. The Yellow Candles, the Forum Carnival with Sisterhood, a few other things. But the synagogue started to see some fraying around the edges of our once great MPC. There was even a possibility that the club would fade away into history. Fortunately, there were a few people who saw the continued value of a club that could harness the synagogue's manpower, and they decided that the MPC would not fail under their watch. Among the men who felt this way was then Center President Bert Wertheim. Bert was a former treasurer of the MPC who had the audacious idea of moving some of the club's money from a checking account to a money market account that paid interest. No one had ever thought of it before. Bert reached out to two past MPC presidents, Alan Hans, who was sitting in the back, hello Alan, and Evan Burke. He asked them to step up again and jointly lead the Men's Progress Club, keep it going, and hopefully start rebuilding it. And despite their very busy lives, they agreed. Now, Evan and Alan realized that one of their first duties in sustaining the MPC was to find their own successor. The club needed someone, possibly a group of someones, who would learn the ropes and carry on the important work of the MPC. And as I understand it, they discussed the candidates and sent Alan to speak with their lead choice. Now, why Alan? Well, you have to understand that Alan is a salesman. He's a wonderful salesman. He is a great salesman.
How great is he?
Thank you so much for that.
That's why I'm here.
Alan is so great, he can sell ice to Eskimos. Alan is so great, he can sell the Brooklyn Bridge to the mayor of New York. I tell you, Alan Hans is such a good salesman, he can sell matzah to Jews the week after Pesach. I was their candidate. I didn't stand a chance. Alan then taught me and the other officers a great deal about running the club. They had the sense of MPC history. They also had the sense of the realities of the day. They instilled in us a strong sense that whatever we did had to be fun. Otherwise, why would anyone want to do it? They retired as presidents, again, but kept on helping and guiding, offering advice, lending a hand as they stepped back. And the next generation of the MPC was starting to come to life. We set out a very simple rule of thumb based on what Evan and Alan taught us. We needed to keep doing the good things that the synagogue needed us to do, but we needed to make sure that it was always fun. We needed there to be the reward of camaraderie along with performing mitzvot for the synagogue. We coined the phrase, having fun while doing good, and it became the planning motto for everything that we did. Things started to pick up again. We had a few more programs, small ones at first, but bigger and more ambitious as we gained confidence. We had the bagel box, delivering bagels, lox, and cream cheese to people's homes the Sunday after Passover. We had the bus trip to Atlantic City. We had small breakfasts with guest speakers like a special agent of community action, the FBI in Newark, who wasn't investigating us for the... But there was one thing that was missing, at least according to the longtime members of the MPC. You see, in addition to the great work, and occasionally dressing up like women for their annual show, the MPC used to be known for lavish breakfasts. But the club in the 90s didn't feel that we had the money for fish platters and for all kinds of cakes and whatever. And we just tended to keep things simple with bagels and cream cheese and maybe a box of eggs. At one of those, frankly, sorry breakfasts, Saul Rosenblatt, blessed memory, came up to me to fetch, came up to me to complain. Now, you had to know Saul. He was a sweet, sweet man who had been part of the MPC literally for decades. But he always complained to me about the food, always. He told me this amounts of delicious and expensive goodies that the MPC would set out and feed its members. He said they were nice breakfasts because they were best at their dues money. That was for them. And more importantly, he said that gentle fetching led to an idea, if only to get Saul to stop complaining to me. We created the big breakfast. We put together a breakfast which is an entrance to eggs of several different kinds, and coffee, not the decaffeinated stuff that the center always put out. Just good food and hopefully good company. We asked Howard Kessel to organize and lead the cooking. Howard got that morning in the kitchen, and boy, did he cook. The food was great. There was plenty of it. It didn't cost us as much as we thought, because Howard is very, very clever buyer. Everyone had a great time. There was laughing and joking, and lots of animated conversation for the entire morning, and even when everyone was full, they stayed around and just chatted. Saul was right, God bless him. We fed them and they came back. Our meetings got bigger, and we could afford better breakfasts more often. In fact, we started to call them the A breakfast versus the B breakfast that we served most of the time. We started going from strength to strength. The big breakfast is still one of the most favorite events every year, and Howard, God bless you, Howard, is still in the kitchen for all of our events. In the last 10 years, the MPC has added more programs. Brian Frisch increased our involvement with the Federation of Jewish Men's Clubs. He pointed out that there were a lot of program ideas that we could steal as active members of the FJS. We started with the worldwide wrap, which I still can't say. The global program where men and women lake filling all over the world. Evan Marcus came up with the idea of the phone directory, and his experience in databases and creativity inspired the guys to create what is now one of the pivotal communication tools of the entire Fairlawn Jewish Center. It also raised a lot of money for the club. And Evan wrote a how-to manual for the Federation of Jewish Men's Clubs so other brotherhoods could copy what we had created. And that won us a gold torch award from the FJMC. We added the poker tournament, the great shofar blowout, the founders breakfast. We ran big raffles and started co-sponsoring programs with the Israel Action Committee, the Sisterhood, and other groups in the synagogue. We had speakers from the Tuskegee Airmen, the Abu Yudaya of Uganda, the Fatherhood Initiative, as well as sports writers, political leaders, one of the world's foremost experts on tea, and one fascinating young woman who swam the English Channel. We've grown bigger and stronger. We've increased our community action and our philanthropic work for the Fairlawn Jewish Center Congregation, B'nai Israel, and other organizations. We strength to strength. Through it all, the synagogue knows that when they need help, when they need support, when they need schlepping, they can turn to us. The Men's Progress Club has been and continues to be the strong shoulders of the Fairlawn Jewish Center for 70 years, and we're only getting started. Yasher Kechem, may we all go from strength to strength.